welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Just a few moments before 7 a.m. and it's time to have a conversation about an upcoming boot camp. Now, we saw a rise in entrepreneurs during the COVID-19 pandemic, and you know that it's something that's here to stay. And joining us this morning is Norris Clement, a consultant from Lepre Consulting, to talk to us about this brand new entrepreneurial boot camp. Good morning, Norris.
Good morning, and good morning to TTT's viewers as well.
How are you today?
I am great.
It was wonderful to have you here this early in the morning. So share with us a little bit about Lepre Consulting before we get into your workshop.
Lepre Consulting was started actually 21 years ago. Okay. I had finished my degree, didn't know what to do with my life, and realized, hey, I have some skills. I tried doing business plans. I started with a coach in Tacarigua. And after that, I realized I could do more. Right. I went on and I continued. I did my master's. And I said, you know what, Brian, instead of stopping at your master's, I said, let me do my PhD. So I'm now currently doing my PhD in Entrepreneurial Innovation at UE. Mm-hmm. And I said, if I am doing a degree, and sometimes a degree can be extremely academic, why don't I take my degree and turn it into something that can be as practical as possible? And that brought me to the Entrepreneurial Bootcamp.
That's a fantastic idea, because practicality is something that we don't always think about. It's only afterwards you sit back and you realize this has been an entire, like, how many years of academia. But when it comes to applying, many times, depending on what your personality is, you may just sort of get stuck.
Yes.
So it's a great opportunity for those who have been looking towards it but not too sure about how to navigate, yes, given years of experience. So tell us a little bit about the target audience for this bootcamp.
To be honest, we are looking specifically at startups. But if we have an entrepreneur or a business that may be around a year, 2 years, and the reason for that is that we want to create a safe space for small businesses, medium-sized businesses that are looking to scale. Mm-hmm. And as a consequence of that, we felt that that was the right niche to focus on.
It definitely is the right niche, you know, and we hear the term startups all the time, and many times we're not too sure where even to begin to describe. So for those of us who are watching right now from home, or maybe you're on your way to work, wherever you are, can you just share with us a little bit about startups?
So a startup generally is a company that is within maybe that first year of operations, right? If I were to take it on a time scale. Some may not even be at registration, mm-hmm, but they are operating all the same. And as a consequence of that, they may have tested their product, they might have gained some traction in terms of customers and so forth, but they are not at the point as yet where they are breaking even or realizing some of the goals or targets that they had set for themselves. At the most primary stage, they may still be at ideation, which is, what do I want to create and bring to market? So it's anybody who is from maybe ideation through to being around for a year, but still haven't made that breakthrough in terms of customers that are staying, income that is consistent, and those sorts of things.
Now, when we hear the word bootcamp, we think intense training. So is this something that participants can anticipate once becoming involved?
It is. Actually, the bootcamp is made up of 2 parts, and I should probably lead into to that a little. Now, being around for 21 years, I am an entrepreneur in myself, though in some cases I actually did have to find full-time employment. But over the last 3 years, I've had to basically retool and start over again. So what we are doing is we have a business village, and we've taken the pop-up market and we've said, we don't just want you to come there and sell stuff. We want you to have a new conversation with your customers.
Right.
We want you to have a new conversation with suppliers and your value chain. We want you to be part of a community and a movement, and that's our business village. Then we have the Entrepreneur Games, which is typically we go to workshops and we sit in a classroom and the lecturer tells us everything that we need to do. We have taken it to outbound training, okay, which is you go on a hike. In fact, you do a little bit of basic medical, your blood pressure, BMI, those sorts of things first. Anybody? Wow. So, I'll explain. Last year I had I'm living as an entrepreneur. And most entrepreneurs, we don't have health plans. Last year I got unwell, and I spent almost 24 hours in a public medical facility. Mm-hmm. I actually had to get warded for 2 days as a consequence. And coming back out of it, I realized that sometimes we run down income and we forget our health in that process. And I said, if I'm going to do something this year and how I'm going to do it is that I need us to focus holistically about the entrepreneur. And we need to move from having the entrepreneurs sit down and take in, but be part of their own learning as well. So we go on a hike, we do a scavenger hunt. So it's about how do we build emotional intelligence? How do we build communication, collaboration, strategizing within your teams? Because as I tell almost every person who sits before me as a client, that even if you're a solopreneur yourself, there is always a ride or die behind you supporting you. Bring that person along, because you need sometimes somebody to say, Brian, not making any sense at all. And as a consequence, if we have that person with you, you now get to do all of those things in a safe space. Then we go on to a tug of war in the evening, a brain teaser, and a few other things. So at the end of the day, you aren't just learning, you're winning prizes, and you walk away with bragging rights.
Wow. I tell you, I have to be honest, when you sat in this chair this morning, I was not expecting to hear these incredible activities that you have put together.
Yeah.
So you said your target audience is startups. Do you have an age bracket that you are looking for?
No. A startup, I'm in my 40s. A startup could be someone who, after COVID, is like, you see this work? I can't take it no more. And I know a lot of people during COVID would have, why am I doing this again? And might have left. I want people who their side hustle is probably now their main hustle, and they're still unsure. So as a consequence of that, once you're fit, come, enjoy yourself, but also as well learn something about yourself, about your journey, about the ecosystem that you're now in. And as a consequence of that, how can you provide value, not just to your customers, but to your team as well.
So you said this is a two-part thing.
Yes.
So how long is this boot camp for?
So it's ongoing.
Okay.
Right? So every 2 months, we intend to have a new boot camp and a new cohort. So as a consequence of that, apart from having the entrepreneurial games this first round, in July, we intend to have a 5K where you go out and you choose a particular charity. I've been speaking to 1 or 2 charities already, and they now have an opportunity not just to constantly look for customers, but also as well, how do we give back? And how do we use policies and practices of large businesses, ingrain them in small businesses from the beginning, which is corporate social responsibility and paying it forward. So if I could run for a cause and maybe give $50 back to any one of those causes out there, when you get larger, it's already part of your culture.
Right.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting, because many times, of course, you know, when you're so focused on starting a business, many times the last thing on your mind is corporate social responsibility. Let's be real about it. And it's only as time goes on and you start to flourish, then you say, okay, well, you know, maybe now I could allot. But with this, I would say culture change in some ways that you are bringing forward into our society, we could definitely see a shift within maybe like 5 to 10 years or so.
Yes.
So this is your first one. As you said, it's something that's going to be going on for a while. How has it been received so far from the community?
We started advertising in a serious way, social media promotion, let me say that, about a week now. And I'm sure after this interview, I'm going to have about 3. Can you tell me how this is going to work? So in a given day, we have about 4 or 5 inquiries, and it's been steady so far, but we are taking on all comers, because it's about increasing the pool of entrepreneurs who are maybe looking to do things slightly differently.
And it's definitely something that I will say is greatly needed. Well, I wouldn't say needed, because we've changed our culture. Yes, we have. But it's definitely something we can continue to foster.
Yes.
Because just listening to what you're sharing is something where you're not just going to learn about your business, you're going to learn about yourself. And obviously building a network, which is key when it comes to being an entrepreneur. But aside from what I just mentioned, are there any other key takeaways that you are looking forward to from this bootcamp?
After 2 decades, one of the things that I would love to see change, and why I'm focusing my PhD there, is on innovation.
Right.
Peter Drucker says that there are 7, sometimes I get confused, but there are 7 ways that innovation comes about. And I just want to speak to two, which is unexpected and new knowledge. And it seems as though we've lost our way. Not lost is might be too strong a word, but those eureka moments, I would love for people to not see something and copy it, but say, aha, I have a much more brilliant idea. That's one. But also as well, we have so many intelligent people, but beyond that, so many creative people in Trinidad and Tobago, where we have the creative, the only musical instrument for an entire century. Where are our eureka moments? So what I'd like to get is innovation and a almost organic, natural way of people making those connections that are there. Because Peter Drucker is the academic, but I'd like us to take it back to the art of being innovative, because we truly are.
We truly are. It's beautiful to hear this and looking forward to how it's going to improve our community as well. So where can we get more information?
You can find us on Instagram as well as LinkedIn at Lepre Consultant as our tag. They can also contact us on WhatsApp 348-1897.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us here this morning on the Now Morning Show. Looking forward to seeing where this is going to go. And I know that you're definitely going to have a lot of people getting their fitness level up as well, something that when you're in the throes of academics doesn't necessarily take place.
No.
So the Entrepreneurial Bootcamp is happening on the 7th of May. Thank you so much to Mr. Clement for being with us this morning. Stay tuned. The Now Morning Show is going to be back in a few moments.